Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
He's quite a piece of work.
Welcome in! Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Thursday. Means we're brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Working towards the weekend. Jordan Kitchens, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. We got plenty to dig into here. In 15 minutes, we'll talk about the best and worst moves of the offseason for the New Orleans Saints as told by ESPN. I'll tell you whether or not I agree with the assessments. Joe Healy is going to stop by at 1:30 to give a look at the SEC teams in regional baseball play. Keith Law's got a new top 50 out. You're going to recognize two of the names on that top 50. We will get to it. Saints OTAs ongoing right this very moment. I'll be reacting to whatever it is that we see on the Twitterverse, plus what Kellen Moore had to say earlier. Reached out to a couple of Saints beat writers. They're going to be in the locker room doing interviews at that time. It's just my show comes at a bad time for Kellen Moore practices. They're usually going on right when I'm on the air or finish right before, and then the beat writers we generally talk to are working, so they can't join us. I sent feelers out, and a couple of my feelers went, and they're overseas at a wedding. One of my Reveille buddies is getting married, so got Luke Johnson and Kat Terrell both in Italy right now at David Hellman's wedding. So a couple that I reached out to. No, we're working. So we'll get Saints OTAs coverage, but we'll have to do it picking through the vines on the Twitterverse and seeing some videos of that. We'll get to it. Chris Blair is going to jump on one more time at 2:15 to recap the LSU season. That was not a great school year for LSU, but we'll talk about it with Chris Blair. And is Sam Leavitt SEC ready? Where does he rank amongst the quarterbacks in college football? ESPN.com started ranking those as well, and we'll get to that 90 minutes from right now. So let's get rolling on this Thursday.
Welcome to the big league.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive. Presented by Fabry Chevrolet GMC in St. Francisville.
So yesterday, Matt Moscona sat here in this studio with Gavin Guidry, with Derek Curiel. He talked to those two guys about the season that was, talked about the battles that this team went through, the injury issues, their draft decisions. And there were some interesting nuggets that came out of that discussion. You also had him sit down with Chris Stanfield, who was here, and you got a sense of what this team went through over the course of the last 4 months. And as we all kind of try to wrap our heads around what it was that happened to this baseball team, one of the narratives that cannot be overlooked, it can't be fully blamed, but it can't be overlooked, was the injury situation that this team went through. And Derek Curiel tells Matt yesterday he had a broken bone in his ankle in November of last year. And we know that Chris Stanfield broke his hand. Told that to Matt in game number 2. And we know that Cooper Moore suffered a freak injury in the weight room and broke a bone in his elbow-ish area just lifting weights with a sweaty weight bar. We know that Stephen Milam battled through this entire season in pain. We know that Jake Brown broke his hand. We know that Chris Stanfield returned from the broken hand and strained his hamstring. We know that Seth Dardar bashed into second base and badly hurt his foot ankle area. We know that John Pearson strained his hamstring in Starkville. We know Kason Evans got scratched from a start in Starkville. We know that Zach York injured his foot. We know that William Schmidt didn't make his last 2 starts. It's just a confluence of events and injuries that cannot be ignored. If I had told you that Derek Curiel, Chris Stanfield, and Jake Brown would all either break a bone or miss significant time. Curiel didn't miss time, but he did break a bone. Then Stephen Milam would play the whole season hurt. Seth Dardar would miss a significant amount of time. Zach York would get hurt. Now, he was out of the lineup at that point, so that's a minor one. But the Kason Evans, William Schmidt, and Cooper Moore would all miss multiple starts. Like, all of a sudden, it starts to add up. And that doesn't excuse the poor offensive weekends that LSU had against Texas A&M or against Oklahoma. It doesn't excuse the bullpen's complete inability to throw the ball over the plate. It doesn't excuse the wild pitches and pass balls, some of the pathetic infield defense that LSU played early. It doesn't excuse losing 2 out of 3 to Sacramento State. I'm not pinning an entire 58 games worth of misery on the injury situation, but saying it out loud does drive home a point that, like, goodness gracious. And something that has stood out to me, and this all happened on our airwaves yesterday, is those guys, Cooper Moore talking about his injury, Chris Stanfield talking about his injury, Derek Curiel talking about his injury, Gavin Guidry talking about the season that was. That all happened on AFR yesterday. On my show, I had Koki Riley on. He was in Hoover with the team when their season ended. They lost to Auburn. And he said in postgame, the guys were just really, really, really upset. And I add those things together, all those injuries and all those losses, and the guys being really upset at the end of the season. And I was there in Starkville, Mississippi, when they scored 8 runs in every game and were fighting and scrapping and clawing in front of 13,000 people to try to win a baseball game and couldn't get it done. And they came back the next week and swept South Carolina. And then they went to Georgia and got beat, and they came back against Florida, and they didn't throw William Schmidt. And but what appears evident to me, I'm not on the team plane, I'm not on the team bus, I'm not at practice. What appears evident to me is that Jay Johnson kept this group in the fight. And that's not good enough in Baton Rouge in baseball. That's not what the standard of the program is. But I am going to take it like 13 columns down the ledger on this season and just mark it as a small check. Because you can't play 56 games without adversity. 2023 felt like a super team. Their bullpen buckled against Mississippi State. They had trouble finding a second starter. They got beat 2 out of 3 at Auburn. Like, there were some bumpy times there. They had to have a come to Jesus meeting at the SEC tournament after they got beat about who they wanted to be. And they responded to it. We know the 2024 team responded to adversity. Last year, you got swept at Auburn. That was really the only adversity you had. But they came back and they were swinging. Jay Johnson appears to be able to keep these guys in the fight. You hear Derek Curiel yesterday after an awful season say it means everything to be an LSU Tiger. He used the term, it sucks that he's draft eligible and that he's very likely going to have to move on. He left the door open, fine. I wrote about it. I'm not suggesting he's going to stay. I wrote what he said. That's part of the print journalist thing. When someone says it, you write it in a quote. Gavin Guidry talked about how awesome it's been to be an LSU Tiger and how he'd like to move on to professional baseball and pitch in the big leagues, but this means so much to him. Cooper Moore was thrilled. He didn't even pitch that more than half the season. Seth Dardar said the same stuff. Kate Aaron Beatty met with the media in a midweek toward the end of the season and spoke about, how the guys are fighting and scrapping and clawing. We heard that in post-game press conferences all year long. So again, I'm not giving you an excuse. They didn't play worth a flip. They missed on some transfers. They didn't develop enough pitching. They didn't play well. But they also had ridiculous amount of injuries. And if you want to take a small positive outside of the catchers hitting everything in sight, then you take it that Jay Johnson can build a roster. He's done it. Jay Johnson can work the transfer portal. He's done it. Jay Johnson can develop offense. He did it with this team that had nothing left. Jay Johnson can manage in the postseason and have the foresight to use Anthony Ianson out of the bullpen in the SC tournament so he can come back the next week if they get to a Monday regional game, which they did against Little Rock, and come out of the bullpen and close it out. He knows how to push the right buttons in Omaha. He puts Cade Beloso in the leadoff spot against Florida in the national final. He made the right moves with rain delays and going to Kason Evans the next day against UCLA and starting Riley Cooper when he did and going to Thatcher Hurd. Like he's pushed all these right buttons and he's done a great job with all that kind of stuff. This is something we've never seen. We've never seen a team just fall off the rails. But they fell off the rails because they didn't play well enough. And that's his job. But they never quit. They fought through injuries. And it meant a lot to him. And the scene that Koki saw in Hoover, to me, is fairly powerful. The guys wanted to be there. They wanted to keep playing. They wanted to keep fighting. They liked being around each other. In this era of the portal, of NIL, where sometimes you can lose sight of the team. College athletes can become a business to some college athletes. Your school can just become, you're a mercenary. That's not wrong. It's just not the way I feel, and I'm not the one who's getting offers for tens of thousands of dollars and hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars. But it's easy to connect the dots and go, okay, I'm not going to care that much. My check's cashed. I still got professional aspirations. Yeah, we lost today, but whatever. It just doesn't appear that these guys felt that way. And I think that is a credit to the coaching staff. And I think it is a credit to the culture at LSU. And the guys can transfer in and feel great about it. And that you can lose some games and respond to adversity. I'm not here to paint the rosiest picture ever, I promise. It's not the indication. I have written about how poorly this team has played. I have talked about how poorly this team has played. I get it. And they got to be a lot better next year. But I'm doing the autopsy here. And we're getting more information as we dig through the rubble. Like, we're getting injury information, which, by the way, like, has it ever been more evident that Jay Johnson's not going to tell the press in press conferences what type of injuries are happening? Like, he got all these injuries. We don't know anything about him. We never knew what Cooper Moore's injury was. It's surgery. Like, we didn't know what happened in a weight room. It looked like him walking off the mound that he blew his elbow out. I mean, I'm sitting in the press box for that game. I wasn't there for all of them, but I was there for some of those injuries. I was there when Stanfield slid into second, and slid into home in the second game, and I remember him shaking his hand, and it just didn't look great. I remember Cooper Moore walking off the mound, and I'm sitting there going, well, that's the end of his season. But it actually wasn't what we thought it was, and you're just not going to get that information. I've said this a million times. And people feel differently. Some people feel the same. I do not care that coaches divulge injury information. I'm not wagering on the games. I don't care. I don't think the injury information has to be public record. I think that injuries happen. I think that knowing a player is going to play or isn't going to play is an advantage to the other team. And if you want to make them spend time preparing for somebody that you know is not going to play and you feel like that's some gamesmanship, I'm fine with it. And that comes from somebody who's in the media. Like, if you're going to tell me the injury stuff, I'll write about it. I'll talk about it. But I don't feel like you have to. And again, Maneri would tell you, Jay will guide you with a timeline. He will not give you the injury unless it's a Jake Brown deal. Yeah, hamate surgery. He's not even dressed out. He broke his hand. But the Cooper Moore situation, the hamstring situations, he's going to string that along. And that's just the way he's going to handle it. So we get questions all the time. I get them on Twitter. We get them in the Bayou 4 chat. Like, what's this injury? What's that injury? I told you on the airwaves, based on the time Chris Stanfield was away, felt like that very likely was a fracture. And it was. And he kept that brace on it and played through it all year, and he hit 50 points lower than he did last year. But I hope we look back in 10 years, whenever Jay hangs it up, and we look back and go, yeah, that 26 season, everything that could go wrong did, right? Nobody developed, transfers didn't hit, great players got hurt, just nothing worked. And it wasn't a symptom of anything inside the program. It was just one of those years where it all went to hell, and it certainly did. But those guys fought and scrapped and clawed, and good on them. And I appreciate them coming in and chatting with Matt yesterday on AFR. If you missed it, you can go listen to those interviews on demand, and certainly can read our stories up at louisianasports.net on what they had to say. So let's move forward. Cool story on ESPN.com about NFC teams in the offseason. Best moves, worst moves, kind of some opinions on what things were done. Curious thoughts on one move the Saints made, and I'll get to some of that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Hurricane season is a-coming. You can buy that Generac home standby generator from the big box store. Promise. It'll get installed. But then what? Do you ever hear from them? Maybe you've done that already. You have bought a Generac home standby generator from the big box store, and you never heard from them again. Do you know right now if that generator is mechanically sound, if it will spring into action if your power goes out? If the answer is no, get the Boudreaux's Boost. Call Boudreaux's Electrical at 985-397-1562 and say, hey, I bought this 3 years ago. I haven't had to use it or haven't used it in a year and a half, but I'm not sure if there's any issues. Can y'all come do some maintenance? They're happy to do that. You can join the Boudreaux's Boost, and they'll take care of you from here on out. You'll just become part of their family, even though they didn't install the generator. That's the difference in a local company. Neil and Melissa have been running this for 40 years. They take care of the people in this region because they know how important generators are, whether it's a business or a home. If you need a new Generac home standby generator, new Generac generator for your business, Boudreaux's Electrical Services can handle that. The Gonzales location is 225-300-9389. You can do it the easy way. Go to BoudreauxElectrical.com.
Transform your living space with Lacoste & Young Remodeling and take your home from outdated to outstanding. Redefine your kitchen for the ultimate culinary experience or elevate your daily routine with a spa-worthy bathroom retreat. Our skilled team brings 3D modeling to life to ensure your vision becomes a reality. We believe luxury should be accessible and offer tailored solutions to fit your budget without compromising quality. So contact us today for a free estimate. Lacoste & Young Remodeling, providing perfect solutions for your dream home.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer, we know you deserve value when you purchase equipment. Right now, take advantage of the powerful 3025E tractor for just $297 a month. With 0% financing for 72 months. Tractor packages with a trailer also available. Whether you're tackling land, property, or projects, get your job done. Don't wait. This offer ends June 30th, 2026. Some restrictions apply. Visit sunequip.com or stop by a Sunshine location today.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. Look, back pain can sideline you from the things you love. That's why I trust Dr. Kevin McCarthy and the team at the Spine Center of Louisiana. Dr. McCarthy doesn't just treat symptoms. He gets to the root of the problem. From advanced injection therapy to minimally invasive surgery, they've got the expertise to get you back in the game. With 5 locations across Louisiana, including right here in Baton Rouge, quality care is close to home. Call the Spine Center of Louisiana or visit spinecenterla.com.
As a business owner, you're always focused on how you can improve the bottom line. Well, when was the last time you shopped your insurance coverage? Insurance Network of Louisiana can help. If you're a business owner, let my friends at Insurance Network of Louisiana see if they can find you better coverage for less money. They always offer
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
You already knew Lifetime Roofing could handle your roofing issues, right? They can handle your inspections, they can handle your repairs, they can do tune-ups, they can obviously get you a new roof. But did you know they do professional installation with gutters, with siding, and windows? So wherever your concern is on the exterior of your home, maybe your biggest investment is for a lot of people, Lifetime Roofing can help you out with that. And they want to. So reach out to them. Have them come out, look at your roof, install those gutters, install that siding, new windows. They can do it all at Lifetime Roofing. And what they do is offer a lifetime workmanship warranty, which includes materials that are backed by Certainty, one of the oldest and most trusted names in building materials. Need financing? They got it. 0% up to 18 months. Local company, local people helping this community. especially in this time as we enter storm season. So keep them in mind. It's Lifetime Roofing. They're online at lifetimeroofingla.com, lifetimeroofingla.com. All right, looking at ESPN.com today, and we'll get into Saints OTAs in hour number 2 because we don't have the information that's come out now. You'll see that there are some beat writers that have been out there, and they'll send some tweets out, and we'll get caught up on whatever they did see. Kellen Moore met with media earlier today. I can report to you that Alvin Kamara was not at practice today, but Kellen Moore said nobody that missed practice today was practice, OTAs, whatever you want to call it. Nobody that missed a workout today was for injury reasons. It was all for personal stuff, and so that's obviously they're not mandatory workouts. So we'll see what those folks saw, and we'll react to it in hour number 2. But I want to look at ESPN.com as they rank the best and worst offseason moves for the Saints. We know that for everybody in the NFC, we know that the offseason's not over. There are still moves that can be made. There will be veterans that are cut loose and that you pick up as camp progresses, but a lot of the big stuff has been done. You had the big wave of veteran free agency right there at the front end, and then you've obviously got the NFL draft. And so teams have adequately remade their rosters and will now look to fine-tune things as you move forward. So what did they say was the best thing the Saints did? And it's a general thing, and so is the negative. But stocking the cupboard for Tyler Shuck was the best thing they said. That's very obvious, right? You know what they did in going ahead and taking Jordan Tyson with a top 10 pick. You know that they added 2 more wide receivers in Bryce Lance and Barryon Brown. You know that they signed Travis Etienne to a big deal. You obviously know they went and got Noah Fant on a 2-year deal for $8.8 million. They added to Oscar Delp in the early rounds of the draft to help with the pass catching side at tight end. Like, they put guys who can make plays on the field, and we know at the end, the Saints had almost no one who could make plays on the field. So what we got was a Tyler Shuck out there making plays by himself. Like, that is too extreme. That is hyperbole, but it kind of felt like that. And so clearly the best thing the Saints did was what they had to do was restock the shelves. And I don't know how you could really complain with it. Like, they went and got 3 wide receivers in the draft and 2 tight ends in the offseason, and went and signed a big-name running back in free agency. Like, I don't know how they could have done anything more than what they did. Now, that's not to suggest we know all those guys are going to pan out, and you can talk dollars and cents about Etienne all day, and you can talk about how big an impact Noah Fant can have with Juwan Johnson. But in terms of the numbers they brought in, the assets that they used on them, the Saints absolutely made it a concerted effort and a good one. And I think that will pay for New Orleans. And so I agree with that. Now, what's the worst thing the Saints did in the offseason, according to Bill Barnwell? Well, spending for solid veterans in free agency is what he says. And I'll read you some blurs on this. The Saints still look like they're a couple of years away, is what he writes. They won 6 games last year against one of the league's easiest schedules. Okay? They got there as the 10th oldest team in the league, the 3rd oldest on defense. Now, Cam Jordan is not on the roster right now, and Damari Davis is not on the roster right now. And Barnwell writes, I would have liked to see them go for players who offered more upside, who have their best years ahead of them. Instead, a win-soon team made some win-now decisions. And he mentions David Edwards, who's a borderline Pro Bowl guard. But to get him, the Saints had to guarantee part of his 3rd contract year at signing. No one else in free agency got that. And that's something you usually see for truly elite players at premium positions. I don't know that you would consider Edwards an elite player. He's very good, and he's certainly not a guy at a premium position. He plays guard. He's 29 years old, and they didn't love that move. And you move forward and say Caden Ellis is an underrated player and a valuable blitzer, but the returning former Saints draftee turns 31 in July. He's younger than Davis, but is this a team that really needs to pay a premium for a solid linebacker? And so what he continues on is he says that none of these moves is harmful in a vacuum, and I don't dislike the players involved. I'm just not positive they're the right moves for this particular team this far away from contention. So that's his opinion. And I'll give my thoughts on it. And first of all, I do want to say, and this is part of my personality, I try to look at both sides. I understand where he's coming from. Like, I don't think the Saints are going to go win the Super Bowl this year. But I also think that the Saints have in their mind they would like to win a Super Bowl with Tyler Shuck at quarterback. And part of that is developing Tyler Shuck at quarterback. And you cannot go out there and develop him reasonably with an interior offensive line that involves whatever they threw out there at left guard last year, a center who's been hurt significant time the last 2 years, and a bad right guard. You can't expect your quarterback, who's not that young, to develop with no interior offensive line. So what do? You go get the best guy available on the interior. This is the old Saints blueprint, which no one else can draw conclusions from 15, 18 years ago in their organization because everyone's new. Not the Saints. Mickey's still around. So we know what worked for him in the past, and we have a large sample size. And when they fortified those guards in front of Drew Brees and had 2 all-pro guards in front of Drew Brees, they took off. Now, Sean Payton had a lot to do with that, and Drew Brees had a lot to do with that. And I'm not telling you that Kellen Moore is Sean Payton and that Tyler Shuck is Drew Brees. But what I'm telling you is you can't develop a quarterback with a trash interior offensive line. And that is what the Saints essentially had once you lost your center last year. So I think that's a position where you can spend money. And also, keep in mind, this is something we brought up a lot at the end of last year. You can afford to pay a guard a little bit more at 31 years old than you would when your quarterback is making $3 million-ish over the next couple of years. Like, you can do that. That's part of the flexibility. So I'm glad the Saints stepped up and spent, even if it's not a premium offensive position, even if it's maybe a little bit more than teams are willing to do, even if it's a little bit more on the third year of a contract than teams are willing to do. Because you've got a quarterback on the cheap. You get the flexibility. Guess what? If Tyler Shuck goes out there and wins 10 games this year and is, a fringe-ish Pro Bowl quarterback, and then he is a Pro Bowl quarterback in year 3, you ain't going to be able to do this kind of stuff with this kind of flexibility once he signs that next deal, which is coming pretty quickly after that. So this is when you can spend. You have the freedom. So if the issue is not that the players aren't good, which he said in a vacuum, I don't have a problem with the players. I don't have a problem with Edwards. I don't have a problem with Achane. I don't have a problem with Ellis. Those are fine players. The issue is that maybe they're a little bit late in their career, or maybe you're talking about tying up a little bit more money in the short term, 1, 2, 3 years. That's when I have the money. That's when I can spend the money. It's different if you're trying to spend a bunch of cash right after Christmas when you've used all your cash in your house. It's a little bit better when you just got your tax return. I have a little bit of money. I can go out tonight. So I think that the opportunity is what the Saints had. So I don't think I'm being a sunshine pumper and a homer here. I think the Saints in this situation did something that's best for their young quarterback who is holding the franchise in the palm of his hand. Like, you need Kellen Moore to be good. You need Mickey to make great decisions. You'd love it if Jordan Tyson made the Pro Bowl in year 2, but really this revolves around Tyler Shuck. And you're trying to help him. And all that stuff we just talked about, the good stuff, restocking the shelves for him. The stuff you don't like, well, it's adding a Pro Bowl running back and a left guard who can keep him upright and not have to run around for his life like he did all of December last year. So I think this is all good. I don't have any problem with this, and I really don't have any problem with the way that the Saints handled the offseason. Keep in mind, like, it's not that I always approve of what the Saints do. I didn't like the Kamara contract, but I don't have a problem with any of these things, and I think Mickey Loomis did a nice job, and I think the Saints took a step forward. Do I think they're going to win the Super Bowl this year? No. Do I think they can compete in the South this year, which is an important step for this organization, this team? I do. Those are my thoughts. Jordan, what do we think?
I think it's total BS to say, like, what I'm hearing is he's criticizing the Saints for paying money for good players.
He wanted on shorter deals.
But it's like, at a certain point, you have to have a foundation. No matter how young your team is, and a team might have an upside, you still need some type of veteran sprinkled into the mix. So it's like, I get that, we're not necessarily looking at a Super Bowl window right now immediately, but who knows, like you said, in the next 2 to 3 years. Like, these guys are still going to be here in 2 to 3 years, hopefully, fingers crossed. God willingly, they'll still be here. But it's like, if Tyler Shuck can take that, that next step, and you bring these guys into the mix, I don't see how. I know he didn't say that he didn't like the players, but I just, we're paying money that you can't keep. You got to spend it.
I don't have any problem with your left guard at 32 years old. I think you can play left guard at 32.
And who was left guard last year? He was probably not in the league no more.
I mean, they had Penning and they traded.
Yeah, exactly.
It didn't even.
Who's not even a starter for the Chargers? So it's like, what are we doing?
It dealt him. So it was a disaster. So yeah, I'm good with all that. Let's take a timeout. Joe Healy will talk some SEC baseball when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Gotros Outdoor Power. GoTrosOnline.com is the website. You can go there. You'll see their incredible inventory of hustlers. It's the largest in the state. If you need a zero-turn mower, that's a great place to start at GoTrosOnline.com. You'll see some fantastic deals. They've got up to $350 off select Raptor models. They've had that deal now for a month, but it's on the spring sales limit, so spring's about over. Go check them out. And you can see them at 2 locations in person, one on Airline Highway in Baton Rouge, one down in Gonzales. Go see the Gotro family. They've been running this show for 22 years. They will give you that personal touch that you will not get from the big box store. They can sell you a zero-turn, but then what do you need parts? Can you get those delivered? What if you need a trailer to come pick it up or a trailer to deliver it? They got it at Gotro's Outdoor Power. So go see them on Airline Highway in Baton Rouge or down in Gonzales. Largest hustler dealer in the state, largest parts inventory in the state as well. It's GoTrosOnline.com.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish Contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
If your office is experiencing performance issues like slow networks, jammed printers, or disappearing files, Advanced Office Systems may be right for you. With powerful IT solutions, print management, document imaging, and security systems, they help offices regain confidence naturally. Side effects may include uncontrollable efficiency, smoother workflows, and a sudden burst of office joy. Say goodbye to those emotional breakdowns in the supply closet and get back on track with Advanced Office Systems.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has the new 25 Jeep Grand Cherokee with $15,000 off MSRP.
Plus the 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou vehicles.
If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Father's Day is on the way. If you're looking for a gift for the dad or multiple dads in your life, Sagrera Farms might be a great option for you. We'll tell you about them as the show goes on. It's going to be all quiet here in Baton Rouge tomorrow, and that is a weird thing at this time of year. First time since they've had the NCAA tournament, not counting 2020, since 2011 that LSU will not be in the field. But Joe Healy's still going to cover the tournament for whatever reason, so we'll have him on to talk about it. He, of course, with SEC Extra and the D1 baseball team, joins us on Thursdays. Joe, how are you?
Good. It does feel like a little bit of an existential thing with no LSU and no Vanderbilt, by the way. It just feels like, what are we even doing in this tournament if we're not going to have those teams involved?
I'm sad, but I'm still going to watch it. I've found, because when LSU got left out in 2011, I was like, man, I don't know if I can watch next week. And when they lose in heartbreaking fashion in a regional or super, I find the next week hard to get into emotionally. I got no problem watching tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. I've known LSU wasn't going to make it for 3 weeks at this point, so I'm excited to watch a little bit of baseball. So let's get in and talk about it. First of all, Kentucky does get in. How did you feel about that?
I wasn't a huge fan, to be honest. I get that quality or quantity of series wins is not an official metric. So that's the company line there, right? Like, that's not an official metric. It's all about quad 1 wins, quad 2 wins, RPI, KPI, DSR. And among all those things, Kentucky did fine. Like, that's a resume that gets you in, 9 times out of 10 and probably 10 times out of 10. But I just thought it was disqualifying to have a team that just didn't win that many games in the regular season in SEC play. And obviously the committee felt differently, but that's a team that I would not have necessarily felt bad leaving out of the field if push came to shove and I was on the committee.
Arkansas does not get a host. We kind of thought that would be the case because of that RPI in the low 20s, even though they won, 21 league games. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, that one I disagreed with more vehemently, I would say, just because I felt like the only things that Mississippi State really had going for it over Arkansas were the ratings and the metrics, and it's not like that was that big of a gulf between those two teams. But you look at Arkansas, they finished a game better in the SEC standings. They won the head-to-head series against Mississippi State. They had 18 quad 1 wins, which is the second most in the country behind only Georgia Tech. Like, it just felt like a much stronger resume ultimately than what Mississippi State did. But the metrics and having a stronger strength of schedule within the conference is what won out for Mississippi State. I would have gone the other way, but, I'm not necessarily kicking and screaming about having State as a host either.
Let's talk about the Hogs. They're in Lawrence, Kansas. They're going to throw Gabe Gackle tomorrow against Missouri State, which would leave Hunter Dietz for Saturday if they can get by. How do you feel about their chances in Lawrence, even though they're not hosting?
Yeah, I think they got a really good chance. If they're not going to host, I thought this was the best case scenario for them. You're going to a team that hasn't hosted before, and I think anybody who pays attention to the NCAA baseball tournament knows that those first-time hosts, sometimes things get a little wonky for them. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of distraction. There's just a lot of stuff going on whenever you host. And as a first-time host, that can be a little too much for a team to handle, and I wonder if we'll see that with Kansas. I also love the move to start Gackle in the opening game. Missouri State is a physical, powerful offense, but there is a lot of swing and miss there. And when Gackle is on is when he's able to get people to chase out of the zone. And I think there's going to be a lot of that for Missouri State. So I totally agree with the move to start Gackle, save Dietz for a potential 1-0 game against Kansas. And in general, I like Arkansas's chances to come out of that one. Maybe
the best SEC game of the day tomorrow for LSU fans that want to tune in late night at 8 o'clock on ESPN2. Ole Miss is going to play Arizona State up in Lincoln, Nebraska. Hunter Elliott will be on the mound. Tough draw for Ole Miss. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's certainly a tough draw. To me, that's the toughest regional. When I look at regional strength, I like to look at how many teams can reasonably win this thing, and that one has 3 teams that can reasonably win that thing with Nebraska, Ole Miss, and Arizona State. Ole Miss is going to have a handful with Cole Carlone in the opening game, and Cole Carlone is a little bit like Gabe Gackle in that he needs teams to go out of the zone a little bit, and Ole Miss is willing to do that at times. Now, the flip side is also that Carlone is not that efficient a pitcher. So if Ole Miss can just wait him out and just take some walks and make him work a little bit, you can probably get him out of the game by the 5th inning, and you feel pretty good against Arizona State's bullpen. But to me, that's the ultimate thing to watch there with this game is, are they able to get Carlone out of the game early on, or is Carlone able to settle in and get Ole Miss to chase out of the zone, and he's able to throw 6, 7 innings? Is there a host that you're a little bit concerned about this weekend in the SEC? Just with the up and down, I guess I've just never been that sold on this year. So I guess Alabama is the one that I kind of look at because it just feels like I look at that's a team I still look at, and I'm still not exactly sure how it is they got where they got. Now, full credit, right? Like, if you get to the entire regular season with that kind of record, as Bill Parcells says, you are what your record says you are. Like, they are deserving of what they got here. But I also think they got a tough draw with a 2 seed in Oklahoma State that's playing really well right now. An Oklahoma State team that can really mash. I think it's an Alabama pitching staff that throws a lot of strikes, and I just wonder if that's going to be a really tough matchup if they get into a regional final against an Oklahoma State team that's going to look to put up runs in bunches. I also think it's an Oklahoma. I know it is an Oklahoma State team that is a lot healthier on the mound than they were about a month or two ago. I actually saw them in person about the time they were starting to get healthy, and they looked like a really dangerous team. So I think Alabama was always going to be a team that I was a little bit dubious of getting through a home regional. But then you throw Oklahoma State in there, and it makes me just that much more nervous for them.
Let's talk about Texas A&M, just a couple of angles on the Aggies. They'll play Lamar tomorrow with former LSU player and assistant Will Davis in his final postseason with Lamar, and he'll move on to Houston. They're going to start Shane Sadeo, and obviously USC is in that regional as well. How do you feel about the Aggies this weekend?
Yeah, it's the type of regional where they're going to have to win a bunch of games 10-8 if they're going to get through it, because I just don't think the pitching. What have we seen from the pitching lately to suggest that it's going to be anything better than what we've seen lately? And we don't really know Aiden Sims' status, right? There's still a lot of mystery about that. Shane Sadeo and Weston Moss have both been pretty flammable over the last month, 6 weeks. And so you go into that regional with a couple of local teams that aren't going to be intimidated. Texas State and Lamar play at Texas A&M every year, so they're going to be outmatched talent-wise, but they're not going to be intimidated. They're going to go in there and feel like they have a chance to win. And then USC's got they're one of those teams that has a bona fide ace that can get anybody out. Mason Edwards struck out 160 and 88 in the third inning so far this season. If USC can hold on to him for a Saturday night matchup against Texas A&M, that's going to be blockbuster right there. And he is one of the few arms that I would trust to maybe be able to shut down this Texas A&M lineup. There aren't many, but he's one of them.
Milwaukee opened the season here at Mid-Alex Box Stadium. LSU won all 3 games. They went down and won a lot of games after that. They'll play Auburn tomorrow, and Auburn is going to go with the Ace tomorrow. Is that one of those deals where you just feel confident enough in their staff 1 through 8 that you're okay throwing Marciano on Friday?
Yeah, I think that's right, because Andreas Alvarez might actually be the pitcher pitching the best right now. And so I think that would be the guy they'd go in that 1-0 game if they can beat Milwaukee in the opener. And I really like their draw. I think UCF was a team that probably got a little bit overseeded. That's probably closer to a 3 than it is a 2 for my money. And then NC State's really, really beat up on the mound, probably as beat up as any power conference team I can think of on the mound, where they lost 2 of their 3 weekend starters for the season. Well, I shouldn't say that. Ryan Marone, one of their 2 starters, is kind of being talked about being able to come back in a minor relief role where he might throw 30 pitches, something like that. But for intents and purposes, they're not going to have either their top 2 starting pitchers, Jacob Duden and Ryan Marone. The only thing that gives me a little bit of pause there is there like this little bit of a win one for the Gipper kind of situation with NC State? Their head coach is retiring at the end of the season. Like, does that give them just a little bit more wind in their sails? I don't know. I still really like Auburn's chances to get through this thing without a ton of incident, but that does introduce a little bit of uncertainty.
I watched a mediocre Mike Martin team and its swan song come in here to the box and win a super regional, so I get that for sure. SEC or not, do you have a national championship pick at this point?
I do. I've got UCLA. Okay. Just so professional, so buttoned up, so no nonsense. They never panic. I've yet to see them in a game, and I watched a decent bit of them because they're on late at night while I'm writing or working on other stuff, and so I saw a decent bit of them this year and saw them in person a little bit, and they just, more so than any other team I saw this season, there's just absolutely no panic in that team. They have crazy comebacks all season long. They've had a bunch of walk-offs, and I think there's another counter argument you can make of you only have so much magic in a given season, and maybe they've used up some of that magic a little bit too early. I don't know that I believe that. I think it's just more this team is really battle-tested, and they're not going to freak out if they get into a game that's a little bit difficult for them. And so I like their ability to get all the way through this thing. They've been number 1 all season for a reason, so until something changes there, I'm just going to go with them.
Did you really like that team in Omaha last year? Because I watched them in person. I was like, I didn't feel threatened at all. They scored 3 runs on Ianson in the first on a bunch of ground balls, and I was like, I still think LSU's going to win.
Yeah, last year I just felt like last year they weren't quite ready for prime time. And this year it feels like they're just a team that's come into their own because it was a pretty young team last year. Basically everybody returned from that team. So it was not just the first time that team last year had been in Omaha. It was that first time that team had won anything. They were awful the year before. So I think they were just learning to win last year, and maybe that's just like a little bit of a cliche reason I'm giving myself for picking UCLA, but I do think this team has just grown up a lot, and they're a lot better this year than they were last.
Where are you headed this weekend?
Headed to Chapel Hill. I get to sleep in my own bed, so I can't say no to that. So I'll see the Volunteers up close this weekend. I think they've got a good chance to give North Carolina a run for their money in that one.
Well, enjoy it, Joe, and we'll talk next week about the Supers.
All right, Hunt. See you, buddy.
Joe Healy, D1 Baseball's SEC Extra team. Look, I said this on Tuesday. We didn't have a show on Monday. On Tuesday, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the NCAA baseball tournament. Maybe one segment a show, and if there's enough Saints and football talk or recruiting something, we won't do it at all. I realize that that's not exactly where y'all want to talk this time of year, but I do love the tournament. I'm interested in it. There are some teams that we saw, and the football guys are running around in shorts right now. So, I'm not going to do it I'm not going to spend an hour on the NCAA baseball tournament every day while it's going on. We would do 2 hours if LSU was in it. I do understand that. And I do understand those of you that are like, I'm just not interested in that at all. I'll find something else. But while it's this time of year, I do think that this is a college baseball town and a college baseball radio station. And I think that, like I said to Joe in that interview, if you missed it, I don't think LSU fans are heartbroken for tomorrow. Like, maybe you're disappointed for sure. But, like, when the 14 team lost to Houston, I can remember this because you had Aaron Nola and you had Alex Bregman. And, like, when the 14 team lost to Houston, I just couldn't watch the Supers. Like, that was gut-wrenching. This was not gut-wrenching. It was miserable for, like, a lot of April and May. But I'm over it. Like, it was just bad. I'm ready for portal guys to start committing and signing, and we'll certainly talk about that during the NCAA tournament because LSU will get portal commitments during that. But I'm okay snipping in a storyline here or there. I'm not going to break down every game and give you play-by-play, but if there's an upset or if there's a controversial play or something, like, we're going to talk about it a little bit. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, but appreciate Joe. And we'll talk to Joe next Thursday before the Supers kind of get a thumbnail on the SEC teams, and I hope they're all out. I hope they all lose their regionals. I don't believe they will, but I hope they do. Let's come back and close out the hour. A really cool nugget from Keith Law's latest Top 100. We'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Our friends at Auction are reminding you for a couple more days that May is Stroke Awareness Month, and they want to remember to be fast. Be fast is the acronym. B, balance, and eyes. Fast, face, arms, speech, time. If the person you're with is unable to maintain proper balance, if a person's vision is affected, that's eyes. For the face, if one side of the face droops or it's numb, arms, if one arm is numb or weak, speech, if it's slurred. And if a person, time, shows any of these symptoms over a course of time, and even if they go away and return, you need to get them to a hospital immediately. Remember to be fast. Stroke prevention is something you can focus on. If you can manage your cholesterol levels, get regular exercise, get treatment for circulation problems. These are all things that can help, and that's what May is about, being aware of the symptoms and the prevention possibilities with stroke. So Auction wants to remind you to be fast.
At Parrish, we're built for tough players and tough roofs.
Coach is tough on us about preparation, and Parrish brings that same championship mindset.
Do business with someone you know. Parrish Construction and Roofing.
ParrishBuilt.com. Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has the new 25 Jeep Grand Cherokee with $15,000 off MSRP.
Plus the 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou vehicles.
If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
After a decade of working in private duty nursing, I know how hard it can be to find compassionate care for the ones that you love the most. So I started Decision Critical, a premier concierge nursing agency, so we can take care of you wherever you are. Our highly skilled nurses provide exceptional care from the comfort of your own home with personalized packages for short-term, long-term, or even around-the-clock care. Visit us at decisioncriticalbr.com and give us a call today to get started.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. Look, back pain can sideline you from the things you love. That's why I trust Dr. Kevin McCarthy and the team at the Spine Center of Louisiana. Dr. McCarthy doesn't just treat symptoms. He gets to the root of the problem. From advanced injection therapy to minimally invasive surgery, they've got the expertise to get you back in the game. With 5 locations across Louisiana, including right here in Baton Rouge, quality care is close to home. Call the Spine Center of Louisiana or visit spinela.com and tell them Matt sent you.
Hi, this is Beth Tarina. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Shout out my friends at Marucci. Go take a tour of Marucci. You can see where the official bat of Major League Baseball is made. They make 1,200 of them every single day. So get a ticket, maruccisports.com/campus-tour. Every ticket comes with a 20% discount in the campus tour store as well as in the hitter's house. And I know a lot of folks are looking for things for their kids to do during the day. If you can sneak away, get the kids over to Marucci, take a tour. It could be a really cool day for them to see where the best players in the world get their equipment. And it's right here in Baton Rouge at Marucci. Stop by, get a tour, learn the story of how it went from a backyard shed to the best of the best. It's Marucci right here in Baton Rouge. Speaking of the best, Keith Law came out with his latest top 50 prospects in professional baseball. Number 4, Cade Anderson, left-handed pitcher in the Mariners organizations. Through 8 starts in Double-A, the number 3 pick in the draft, struck out 41% of the batters he's faced and walked all of 7. That's under 5%. His changeup remains at least a plus pitch, and hitters are not hitting a slider. It remains his best breaking pitch and is a plus pitch at this point. Velocity's crept back up to the mid-90s. I think he'll be up next time the Mariners need more than a spot starter in their rotation. Very, very cool there for Cade Anderson, who looks like he will likely make his debut at some point this season, which is a wild ride for him after, last year in college baseball, he was a stud. The year before that, he was kind of an afterthought. It's just crazy how quickly he moved up. Speaking of that, Anthony Ianson, the number 21 prospect in baseball, according to Keith Law, said if there's one thing the Red Sox can do consistently on the developmental side, it's add velocity. Last year, Ianson had been up to 98 at LSU, but sat 93, 94. He's picked up 2 full miles per hour, hitting 101 in Boston's spring breakout game, and everything else has been just as good. He's got a plus slider that seems to break forever. His curveball is a hammer that's 12.6, and his splitter has become a real weapon for him. 63% whip rate in a small sample size. He comes from a high delivery slot that adds some deception. And here's a quote from Keith Law in January. It's, by the way, May right now. In January, Keith Law wrote, I could see a back-end starter future, although he could have a higher ceiling if the Red Sox can help him find a better fastball. And Keith Law writes, that was fast. So Anthony Ianson goes from about 94, 95 up to 97, 98 on his fastball. And both your your top 2 starters last year are top 21 prospects in all of baseball right now. And that tells you just how much you lost. But here's where I fell victim. You had Skeens and Floyd, one of which was inherited by Jay Johnson, and Wes Johnson helped move forward. And then one you got out of the transfer portal, and Jay Johnson and Wes Johnson found him and developed him in Skeens. So you had Floyd and Skeens. And then you lost him. And you came back and got Holman and Jump out of the portal. And you lost Wes Johnson, and you got Nate Yeske, and you developed those guys. And Gage Jump just made his debut. And then you lost him. And Cade Anderson developed under Nate Yeske, and you got Anthony Ianson, and you made him into something. So, it was 3 years in a row where you just boom, 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 boom. And you had number 1 and 2 starter, just you can expect it like clockwork. And really, you shouldn't expect it like clockwork to go this well. But after it happens 3 times in a row, I was just like, well, I'm sure that you'll get Evans to be awesome, and I'm sure Cooper Moore will be a stud, and they'll develop Schmidt along. And if that doesn't work out, they'll get something special out of one of these, guys that they brought in out of the portal, like Danny Lockenmeyer will become a stud, or they'll unlock Gavin Guidry now that he's healthy. I just kind of assumed something would happen. It just never did. But you do realize that was a special one, too, last year. And I like the fact that when I scroll through Keith Law's piece, that the two pictures for Ryanson and Anderson are from Omaha, which I like because those guys were stellar up there in Omaha. Incidentally, Cam Caminiti, who was an LSU signee who did not go to LSU, ended up getting drafted and taking the money. 40th on this list, the top 50 prospects in baseball. But Cade Anderson, number 4, Anthony Ianson, number 21. Really, really cool stuff. Our Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. This is some of the best of the best of the best. So if you're not happy with the product that you're getting wherever you buy your beef, whether it's steaks, ground beef, briskets, flank steaks for your tacos, salads, whatever the case may be, if you're not happy with the price and the product, well, you're paying a premium price because herd levels are really, really low, and that puts a supply and demand strain on things, and the price goes up, but the product is the same. Well, why don't you get a premium product? Well, that's what you get at Sagrera Farms. You get prime Angus beef every single time. Sean can guarantee it. So go to the farm. It's just north of Baton Rouge and Ethel. Say, it's time for me to get this, get a freezer full, buy a quarter, buy a half cow, and make this the new way that you buy beef because it's awesome. Every single time. It's the only way we eat beef in the Palmer House. They bring you our Thursday shows at Sagrera Farms. We got a busy hour, too, coming. Got a lot of Saints OTA reports on Twitter that we can get into here in 5 minutes. Chris Blair in 20, plus some Sam Levitt talk. He was dunking a football over the goalpost today. Pause for Sports Center. We'll come back with the second hour. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com. That's FabryChevrolet.com. They're on Highway 61 in St. Francisville, and they've been under new ownership now for almost a year. They're about 9 months to this point. So go by and see them. They're so proud to have this Chevy GMC point at St. Francisville. You know the Fabry family. They've been in Baton Rouge for 35 years, 3 locations, 5 brands, and their customer service sets them apart. Obviously, you're going to get great deals. You can go by and see them. They got incredible deals on Chevy Silverados, GMC Sierras. Need a new truck, they got them. You could go get a Suburban or a Tahoe on the Chevy side, Yukon, Denali on the GMC side. If you're looking for an SUV, they've got pre-owned vehicles as well. But what sets them apart is the customer service. And that's what they've built their reputation on for 35 years. So if you're in the market for a new vehicle, high school graduate, new summer road trip, go by and see them, Highway 61 in St. Francisville. You can check out the entire inventory. It's all right there at FabryChevrolet.com, FabryChevrolet.com.
Every Raising Cane's chicken finger is marinated, battered by hand, and cooked to order to perfection. We don't have heat lamps, because when you make it right, you can taste it in every bite. Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
I'm Gabrielle McLeod on behalf of the Louisiana Propane Dealers. I have spent hundreds of hours preparing for scholarship competitions. That preparation paid off when I won the Fitness and Talent Awards along with the title of Miss Louisiana. The Louisiana Propane Dealers are also pretty talented and want you to be prepared for when the power goes out. Visit LouisianaPropane.com to find out about propane generators and other safety tips. Louisiana Propane, it truly is the fuel for our future.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
After a decade of working in private duty nursing, I know how hard it can be to find compassionate care for the ones that you love the most. So I started Decision Critical, a premier concierge nursing agency, so we can take care of you wherever you are. Our highly skilled nurses provide exceptional care from the comfort of your own home with personalized packages for short-term, long-term, or even around-the-clock care. Visit us at decisioncriticalbr.com and give us a call today to get started.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Claude Lemieux, who won 4 Stanley Cups during his 21-year NHL career and regarded as one of the greatest playoff performers ever, has died at the age of 60. The cause of death not immediately available. He was the Montreal Canadiens' torchbearer before Game 3 of the East Final Monday night. Lemieux is survived by his wife and 4 children. Only one option for the Spurs tonight in Game 6 of the NBA's Western Conference Finals. Win or the season's over. San Antonio down 3-2 to Oklahoma City. So what does star Victor Wembanyama need to do to force Game 7? ESPN NBA analyst Chiney Ogwumike.
This man, 22 years old, is 7'5". For him to be able to extend the series, he will need to do exactly that. Take on all matchups, whether it's the small guards that guard him or the big players like Isaiah Hartenstein. He will need to dominate the paint. So in transition, I expect to see him getting downhill and not picking and popping.
Game 6, 8 Eastern, ESPN Radio. NFL, Jets first-round pick, tight end Kenyon Sadiq will miss the remainder of the postseason and possibly longer after undergoing hernia surgery. The team said he will be ready during training camp, which gets underway in late July.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Raising Cane studio, this is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Hour 2. Thursday edition Hunt Palmer Show officially working towards the weekend. Glad you're hanging out with us. Hopefully a short work week for most of you out there, and we are almost to the finish line. Got Jordan Kitchens, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Chris Blair will be with us in 15 minutes, kind of putting a bow on the LSU athletic year that was. It was not very good. We'll talk to Chris about that coming up in 15 minutes. Got an interesting ESPN.com ranking of the quarterback situations across college football that we'll get into, and I'll drop in there at the bottom of the hour that Sam Levitt was on Instagram or Twitter. I think it was Instagram today.
It was Instagram.
Instagram today, running up and doing a between the legs dunk.
It was a windmill, between the legs windmill.
Between the legs windmill dunk of a football over the goalpost. So I think he's probably feeling pretty good. I think maybe in this day and age could be AI. You never know. Maybe he's on crutches still, but it looks pretty good to me.
Nah, it looked. I will say this: please don't do that in a game. No, I don't want him to break his foot or something like that. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
But it looks good, so we'll talk about that in 30 minutes. Let's start with the Saints OTA practice, their second one, the first time the media was allowed to watch those. So we'll talk about that. I'm going through my guy Ross Jackson's Twitter feed there at Ross Jackson NOLA, of course, Locked On Saints, as well as LouisianaSports.net Saints coverage. Not seen at practice today. Zach Wilson was not there. Kendre Miller was not there. Trey Palmer and Mason Tipton were not there out at wide receiver. At punter, Wright was not there. Alvin Kamara was not there. And 2 defensive tackles, Harris and Shepard, not there. Ross adds that Moore talked about Wilson, Wright, Kamara, and Shepard before practice, said they were not injury-related. I realize that you could look at Kendre Miller here and go, oh, my God, he didn't practice today. Apparently, he's still dealing with a knee injury that he had in Week 7. So, it is what it is. My alarm bells on this are, for most players, it would be a 2 out of 10. For Kendre, it's a 4 out of 10. It's not a 5 out of 10. It's nowhere near an 8 out of 10. It is still May. It's still May.
It's still May. It's still May, but well, because we just saw Mahomes tear his knee up in December. He
plays quarterback.
But you're playing for your life right now. Your life is on the line.
But I'm not going to sound the alarms here. Maybe get out there and move a little bit, show the media you're around during some of the OTA workouts, but no big deal on that to me. I think the only significant Saints injury that I'm looking at over the course of the updates that I saw from the Saints beat writers was that Jonas Sanker took the lion's share of the reps at that star slot corner spot. And to me, that makes a lot of sense. You look at the Saints depth chart, and at safety, you still have Justin Reed and Julian Blackmon. And remember, Julian Blackmon was balling last year, and then he got hurt, was lost for the season. But the reports coming out about him were so positive. And so you feel pretty good about him. We thought that was like a diamond in the rough the Saints had uncovered when they were going through those short-term contracts that they were giving guys because they were rebuilding and they weren't swimming in the expensive end of the free agent spending. They're like, they got found Julian Blackmon. And Justin Reed, of course, they spent money on last year. And those two guys can play safety for you. Of course, Jonas Sanker can go back there and play safety. He did it last year. But he's got the speed and the athleticism, I think, to play in the corner, in the slot. Do I think it's a perfect solution? No, I'd probably rather have a true corner in there more often than not. But based on what we've seen from Jonas Sanker, it does look like he's got a lot of those traits. And I'm concerned with the ceiling and the floor of the Saints at corner and in slot corner. I'm not over the moon about Kool-Aid. I'm not over the moon about Quincy Riley. I think there's positives there. You've still got, some of the guys that have been running around for you, like Isaac Yiadom and Martin Emerson and some of those guys. It's not, that cornerback position is not ready to play at a championship level. But they're not alone. There's a lot. The cornerback's not ready to play at a championship level. So they're trying to find some answers. And look, if one of those tries is playing Quincy Riley at one corner and Jonas Sanker at the slot corner, let's take a look. Those are guys that you took in the middle rounds. Those are guys that showed some real flashes last year. Those are guys that are cheap. And I think it's low risk at this point because I just still don't feel like the Saints are ready to knock down the door and start shouting down the Seahawks. So I like the idea. My thought on it is tepid, but I like my thought on what the result's going to be is tepid. My thought on the idea is good. It makes the most sense. So I think in terms of what the guys on the beat, what the girls saw on the beat today, that makes the most sense. I'm reading Ross's Twitter. Further, said Tyler Shuck, who's meeting with the media, said the entire Saints roster and coaching staff shared stories about the best teams they've ever been a part of that varied from high school to the pros, that it helped them getting to know each other, as well as some good takeaways from camaraderie and perspective. And honestly, that's a great question. Or whoever asked that, it's a great thing. Whoever decided to do that for the Saints. And it also, the answer to that question and the fact that that's the talking point right now drives home further that we're still in May, and these are the kind of things we're doing. We're sharing high school stories. We're running around in shoulder pads and helmets. So I'm not going to take anything away from the performances day to day in OTAs. They tell me Kevin Austin had a great play today. Awesome. What you can take away is where people are lined up, because that's serious stuff. And I think going back to that point where Jonas Sanker is doing the majority of the work in at that slot corner, which is a big question, is interesting. And so I would that would be takeaway number one for me. And takeaway number two is I would not be at all opposed still to the Saints dipping into the free agent market and getting someone to help Sanker there. And I do believe they will do that. Are they going to get a first-team All-Pro? Are they going to get a Pro Bowler? Are they going to get somebody that beats Sanker out? I don't know. They're not going to get a first-team All-Pro. Sanker might be the guy. I think they do need to bring somebody in with a little bit different character traits that has done some more covering on the outside at this level that maybe you can kick in. A veteran. Maybe it's somebody that has played on the outside for most of their career, kind of lost a step. Bring them on the inside. It's the same thing. You got a safety, bring them down to the inside. I just want some competition there. I'm perfectly okay with Sanker getting the first look at this. That makes all the sense in the world to me. I do think there needs to be competition at this point for him, and I do think the Saints will do that at some point. But as far as what I've read from this and looking at, Ross and Underhill and all those guys who have gone through practice, that was probably the biggest takeaway here, unless you want to throw a fit about Kendre Miller not practicing. But that's kind of where I am on OTAs today. What have you learned by your Twitter musings over there, Jordan?
I've learned this, though. That this Jonas Sinker thing, I like the idea in a vacuum, because what we learned last year with Jonas Sinker's rookie year, he has a knack for the ball.
He does.
The ball just seems to just always fall in his hands, kind of like how Tyrann Mathieu, just somehow, some way, where if he's on the field, the ball just magically comes his way. So I do like that, and put him more in the sense where, Staley, he was the guy that kind of elevated Derwin James to what he became, with his time with the Chargers. So in a way, I'm not saying that Jonas Sinker can be a Derwin James, but you can kind of utilize him similarly to how a Derwin James can put him in a box, can put him outside a little bit. So I like that idea. What I did see was that, Tyler Shuck had a good day, but Spencer Rattler also had a good day. Now, I know I'm not advocating for Spencer Rattler to take the starting job or whatnot, but what we could have is a Spencer Rattler getting moved. We know how the NFL works. Quarterbacks, somebody's going to get hurt. It happens every season. Somebody's going to get rolled up on, knee, whatever. So you could put Spencer Rattler in a position where he has a nice preseason and you're shipping him to the highest bidder. And I like the sound of that, because
tell Saints PR to walk over to the Saints media and be like, I need y'all pumping up Rattler every practice. I need y'all sending some Rattler tweets out, get some Rattler videos going.
Get a little slow-mo action. It's going to look beautiful. Cinematic.
Get Rattler out there in the fourth quarter of some preseason games when all the guys who are going to get cut are out there, and let him chop it up.
Hunt, I promise you, somebody's going to bite. Somebody's going to bite.
Full-blown Spencer Rattler promotion mode over here.
Yes.
We need a fourth-round pick.
Yes, we do. Look, and that will. And, you got Zach Wilson. You don't just sign Zach Wilson for no reason.
That was a super ambitious. We need a 6th-round pick. It's probably what you're getting.
Hey, somebody get hurt. You never know. They're going to be desperate. They will be desperate.
All right, that's a look at Saints OTAs here on this Thursday. Let me remind you about my friends at One Bath and Closets. They're online at onebathandclosets.com. David Duvall and his team have been at this for 30 years. Go with the team that's been doing it for 30 years. Go with the team with the master plumber on staff. Go with a team who has been at this and can help you with the customization as well as the wonderful craftsmanship that they've got at One Bath and Closets. If you've got an issue with your shower, if you've got an issue with the bathtub, don't call the handyman down the street and hand him cash. Who knows what's going on back there and whether or not that fix is going to be worthwhile. At One Bath and Closets, they do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. So if you've got an old bathtub that's showing some signs that it may not be working well, or it's just ugly and unsightly, or you don't use it, take that tub out, do a tub-to-shower conversion. David and his team can help you with all of that. You can find a free consultation at onebathandclosets.com. You can also see pictures of their fantastic work. It's One Bath and Closets. They're online at onebathandclosets.com. Moving along here on this Thursday, we're brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef as well. We'll talk to Chris Blair coming up here in about 5 minutes, and we'll get to some Sam Levitt talk. An interesting nugget that I want to talk about on this ESPN.com piece, so we'll do that coming up in 15 minutes. A lot of LSU coming at you over the next half hour. Lock us in. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Hey, how about Swing Easy Golf Club right here in Baton Rouge? Weather doesn't look great today, tomorrow, the next day, the next week. Just looks really rainy. And if the golf course that you like to play looks like my yard, well, it's soaking wet. So that makes tee times tough to come by. Not at Swing Easy Golf Club. Even in golf season, which spring, summer, fall are around here, we can have bad weather. Never at Swing Easy Golf Club. So if you want to hit some golf shots this weekend, you want to work on your game this weekend, but you feel like it might be too wet, or you don't have 5 hours to do it, Swing Easy Golf Club on their simulators is a great way to get that done. You get a private bay, comfortable seating, turn the TV on, crank some tunes, play Pebble Beach, get on the driving range, whatever you want to do. And the technology is awesome. When I hit those 600 shots in a row there on a YouTube stream like a fool, I could tell. When I hit the Pro V1, the ball hit the green and spun. When I hit the old dingy ball that we had there, it bounced out like a rock. It's great technology. It can help you with your game, and you don't have to depend on 5-hour rounds or the weather. It's an alternative to golf out there in the outdoors. It's Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. They're online, swingeasygcbr.com.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. And when you're cooking with clean, affordable propane, you're cooking with gas. In the wintertime, nothing heats a home like Louisiana propane. And when you need hot water, propane's got you covered. Oh, and you won't regret that propane generator when the power goes out. I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and to find more information and to find a propane dealer near you, visit louisianapropane.com.
If your office is experiencing performance issues like slow networks, jammed printers, or disappearing files, Advanced Office Systems may be right for you. With powerful IT solutions, print management, document imaging, and security systems, they help offices regain confidence naturally. Side effects may include uncontrollable efficiency, smoother workflows, and a sudden burst of office joy. Say goodbye to those emotional breakdowns in the supply closet and get back on track with Advanced Office Systems.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. Look, back pain can sideline you from the things you love. That's why I trust Dr. Kevin McCarthy and the team at the Spine Center of Louisiana.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Another year in the books for the LSU Sports Radio Network. Cranks up in early September for football, winds down with baseball and softball. Chris Blair, good enough to join us every Thursday. Voice of the Tigers here one more time before we break for the summer and get back at it in August. Chris, how are you?
I'm good, man. Yeah, looking forward to a great summer. And, you know, we talked about it the last couple of weeks. I know this past athletic year was, you know, again, there were some highs, but probably not what everybody was looking for. But my goodness, you can't help but be pretty fired up about what's going to start here come September 5th and I think go throughout the entire year.
Yeah, I'm excited about it, but this was a rough go for all three men's sports that you're on the mic for, certainly. I realize they're not going to take the paint off the Intimidator and write the 2026 team tried really hard. That's not what we're about around here. But I was taken by Koki Riley's comments on my show yesterday that he thought the team was really emotional in Hoover when it all came to an end. And it could be easy for a lot of guys who are one-and-dones and a lot of guys who have pro dreams to go, well, we weren't very good, but whatever. We were done 3 weeks ago. It didn't seem like this team ever quite gave up. Did you sense that when you were with them?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, you know, when I looked at, you know, especially once conference play began and now looking back at the season, and I think it was very evident down the stretch because LSU's schedule, obviously, you know, as the season wore on, you got to play some of the top teams on the back end of your schedule. I think it was a team that gave everything they had. You know, could they put it all together in a single game? That seemed to be a struggle, certainly since, you know, early March, mid-March. But it wasn't from a lack of effort and caring. And again, I travel with the guys. I'm in the hotel for 4 or 5 days when we go on the road. You don't put in the hours, you don't put in the time and the dedication if you don't care. So I don't buy that one bit. But I think there were just teams that you know were able to be more consistent. Now, whether or not that's because they were top to bottom more talent, I'm not a talent assessor in the way coaches are, so I wouldn't step on that limb. But what I would say is it was a team that struggled to get consistency, and we talked about it, I think, last week or the week before. I mean, it was kind of like trying to stop the dam from bursting. I mean, you get one thing fixed. I think the offense down the backstretch played much better than they did through the first half of the conference season, but you were unable to get the pitching. And then there were times where you got the pitching and you didn't get the offense. So I think that, to me, sums up this 2026 LSU baseball team. And as I've said before, we'll see what decisions they make. I don't think it's as easy or as automatic as maybe some of the people who, again, aren't around the team. And I'm talking about national people and people who cover college baseball. I think they've already assumed who's going, who's leaving, who's hitting the portal. I don't know. I mean, again, there will be some changes, but I think I'm excited to see what those changes are, who comes and who goes.
I think that most people didn't quite realize how injured this team was with Curiel on the foot and Stanfield's broken hand and Milan playing through everything that he did over the course of the year. And Stanfield then got hurt again, and so did Pearson, and Zach York got hurt, and obviously Cooper Moore, and obviously Schmidt and Evans. I mean, how difficult do you think that was on Jay Johnson trying to get this thing righted, and he can't get anybody out of the training room?
Yeah, no, that was the other issue. I mean, again, you're trying to completely develop, and you saw minor improvements, and Jay talked about it throughout the season. Like, look, we didn't win that game the other night, or we didn't win game one in this particular situation, but that was an improvement in certain areas than we had the week before or 2 weeks prior. And the problem was you were constantly having to change roles, move guys around the diamond. You were constantly having to bring guys in who certainly were expected to be next man up for a short period of time. Suddenly they become the everyday guy. And again, I think if you take any optimism out of what was a dismal year in everybody's calculations, I mean, the fact that you got some of those guys, especially the young guys, and I shared with you yesterday, the exciting news on how the freshmen did perform. And let's face it, midway through the year, there were really two true freshmen that we thought were going to be the everyday guys. And suddenly you saw 3, 4, and 5 at times have to come in. And that's not even counting the pitching staff. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a big part of it. But obviously, injuries happen to every team. Obviously, there's a rash of injuries that hit teams more so in one year than the other. I think LSU certainly had their fair share. That made it more complicated to get some continuity day after day after day.
When you're in Omaha for 2 weeks, you see Jay Johnson in the hotel every day. You do your pregame interview with him as well and see him out there on the field. And you realize that he's trying to put the next team together while he's up there. What do you think June looks like for him now that he's not going to be in an Omaha hotel room for 2 weeks?
It's funny. This morning I was reading something about the regionals about to start this weekend, and I thought to myself, I can't wait. First question I'm going to ask Jay when I see him later this summer or at the start of the year is, how miserable were you for this month? Because he lives for it. I mean, that's his sole purpose in rising and getting out of the bed every day. And that's a good thing. I mean, that's where I think we're all blessed to have him here at LSU. So the work that he's doing as we are sitting here chatting right now is probably would probably put a smile on most LSU faces because, as I've said many, many times before, he's got fewer hobbies than Nick Saban ever had, and he is going to do nothing but redo this roster. And I think probably now has a better sample size of 5 years in the SEC, 5 years in this changing landscape of college sports, and his ability, which I've always thought is very good at assessing talent. But I think now he knows what the fit will be. And sometimes you have to have years like this. And as Jay said multiple times down the backstretch of the season, if you just get frustrated at what happened and don't learn from it, then you're just miserable. And if you've been around Jay long enough, he's not a guy that dwells on being miserable. He can turn things behind and put things behind him very quickly and then get back to work. So if you were telling me we were going to have a down year in our justifications, then I would say the best guy to have at the helm in a down year, coming out of a down year, is Jay Johnson.
I don't disagree with that. Chris Blair's with us, voice of the Tigers, here for a couple more minutes as we put a bow on the seasons that were in LSU football, basketball, and baseball in this athletic year. But you got two new coaches. What excites you about Lane Kiffin and Will Wade entering next school year?
Well, I know you took in some spring football. I certainly did. And again, I just like the way it was laid out. I know that, there's a lot of other things off the field that get all the headlines, and I understand that's the world we live in now. But what was impressive to me is the team, the assembly, the way they do things. I mean, it's no surprise that he's had the success he's had. So again, can you turn it around in 12 months, 8 months, whatever the case may be? I don't know. I mean, it depends on what your standard is. What I do know is this is going to be a competitive football team that's going to play with a swagger. And if there's one thing that I've learned in 11 years, an LSU team of any kind that plays with a controlled swagger usually turns out to be pretty good. And I don't think there's going to be any question for that on the football field starting as soon as September 5th. I don't have an idea. I don't think anybody really has an idea of what the wins and losses will be in year number one. There's too many variables, even more so than there was 8 years ago in college football, especially with the transfer portal. But I like the people that he's brought in. I like the fact that he's got the quarterback he wants. He's not having to, put a square peg in a round hole from a quarterback system standpoint. This is his guy. And with him getting healthy and the videos we've seen the last couple of days, I think it's going to be lights out. It'll be a fun year. Is it up to everybody's expectations? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I think it'll be one heck of a year to be excited about LSU football. And being at Tiger Stadium, especially the first 3 weeks of the season, is going to be lit.
It is going to be that. What about Coach Wade? You've been working on those pronunciations because he's going to have you working hard.
Yeah, I'm going to get with him, I think, on early June. He and I are going to have a sit-down. And part of that is kind of discussing his return and all of the things that's happened since he last was coach here. But that's going to be one of my side notes off cameras, make sure I learn everybody's name. And also I imagine there's going to be some nicknames. Coach Wade and his team always has nicknames, so we'll have to learn those as well. But, again, he's a winner everywhere he's been. He's pushing the boundaries of what's allowed, and anybody that's upset about that or what's been the norm, anybody that's upset about that isn't paying attention to what's happening in college sports. Again, we've spent these last 3 or 4 days in the SEC meetings, and basically the biggest thing I got out of it, Hunt, I don't know if you feel any different, was we're kind of in an ungoverned, uncharted territory. And so when people say, well, you shouldn't do that or you can't do that, my question is, why not? I mean, show me the black and white rule that says you can't do this. So I think the excitement, again, it starts with football that'll start. But I think this whole upcoming season, I think will be good. I think it'll be exciting because it's hard to maintain that level of consistency at any university and any athletic department across all the sports that are put out there. So you're going to have years like this. I know that doesn't make anybody feel any better. But I do like the fact that LSU said, okay, this is obviously not the standard. And so we're going to make some changes. And so, again, instead of me harping on this past year or what this team could have done or that team could have done or should have done, it's more about what we've got in front of us and how you can't be excited about that. I just don't know.
I am. Enjoy a little downtime this June. I expect him to put you to work the entire month next summer.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. I'm going to enjoy this June. I don't know what to do with myself in June. What do people do in June?
I'm going to watch some baseball, but it's just not going to be at the box, which is unfortunate.
I don't know. I'm kind of like Jay. I mean, I looked up this morning to see the matchups, and then part of me was like, do I want to watch that? I don't know. That's almost – I mean, even when we go on the road, and I've said this, nothing like hosting regional and super regional at the box. There's no question about it. But there is excitement to be involved in it. So I understand Jay's feeling about not being involved and not wanting to watch it because I kind of feel the same way.
Well, I appreciate you coming on every Thursday. I got UCLA too, but I'm Georgia Tech and UCLA are my two teams.
Bingo, those are my two. I thought you were going to ask me, and I was already prepared. Georgia Tech and UCLA, no SEC winners. That's what I say.
Completely agree with that. I appreciate you coming on Thursdays. Appreciate you letting me tag along in football and baseball, and we'll catch up later in the summer.
Couldn't imagine doing it without you, Hunt. Thank you for everything.
He is Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, giving a little recap of this year and a preview of what's to come, which I do think everybody believes that next year's going to be really exciting. Now, could things fall flat in any sport? Sure, we just watched it. We just watched it in 3 of them. But I think the excitement level with the coaches that LSU has in those 3 sports that Chris calls are are capable of making things really exciting and winning a lot of games. And they've proven it over the course of their careers, and I certainly hope that starts on Labor Day weekend here in Baton Rouge. We shall certainly see. Thanks to Chris for coming aboard. Speaking of that, where does Sam Levitt rank in terms of the quarterbacks around the country? ESPN.com has their thoughts, including some statistics that I want to talk about. We'll do it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
First American Bank and Trust. First American Bank and Trust, FABT.com. They've been at it for 116 years, y'all. That's since 1910. That's been around the block. And they've grown throughout that time to 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana. So when you think about a local bank, a community bank, which this is, they got 25 locations and they're all right here in Southeast Louisiana. Don't think, well, that's just a small mom and pop bank. I can't do my commercial loans through them. I got to go through the national folks. 25 locations. So when those decisions made about your commercial loan, your personal loan, it's made by someone in your community, someone that you see at church, or you see out at the Little League field, or you see, out at the golf course. That's because it's a community bank with a community feel that has the resources of the national bank. So if you want somebody making decisions about your loans that's in your neck of the woods and not in Atlanta or LA, First American Bank and Trust. Go by and see one of their locations. Dutchtown, Jones Creek, St. James Parish, St. John Parish, Tangipahoa Parish, St. Tammany Parish, down in Metairie. There's always a First American Bank and Trust near you if you're in Southeast Louisiana. They're online at FABT.com, FABT.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
As a business owner, you're always focused on how you can improve the bottom line. Well, when was the last time you shopped your insurance coverage? Insurance Network of Louisiana can help. If you're a business owner, let my friends at Insurance Network of Louisiana see if they can find you better coverage for less money. They always offer exceptional customer service and partner with only the best providers. So check them out online today at lainsurance.net.
Ever wonder why cane sauce doesn't come in a pre-sealed packet? It's because it's made fresh inside every Raising Cane's every single day. Because when you make it right, you can taste it in every bite. Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. Look, back pain can sideline you from the things you love. That's why I trust Dr. Kevin McCarthy and the team at the Spine Center of Louisiana. Dr. McCarthy doesn't just treat symptoms. He gets to the root of the problem, from advanced injection therapy.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
We are brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. I'm going to give you Sean Sagrera's phone number at the end of this read. So if you're looking for some of the finest beef in the country, this is who you need to call. And it's right here north of Baton Rouge. From where I'm sitting right now in downtown Baton Rouge, you're talking about 25, 30 minutes. In Ethel at Sagrera Farms, I've been to the farm. It is such an impressive spot, and the operation that Sean's got going over there is fantastic. So if you have exhausted your ideas for Father's Day and you just have no idea what to get your dad or the dad in your life, have out half a cow from Sagrera Farms. Call it a day. Maybe there are 4 dads in the family that you want to split half a cow or split a whole cow between. You can do that as well. You're talking about prime Angus beef. I give you the IMF scale every single week. You're talking about the bottom of the barrel is select. That's 1 to 3 on the scale. From 3 to 7 is your choice. That is what 60% of beef is. When you get to 8, that's prime. Sean's got cows on the farm that have been ultrasounded. It's not a guess. That are 8, 10, 12, 17, 20. 20. That's better than double the standard for prime. The marbling, the flavor, the tenderness, it is phenomenal. It's the best steak I've ever made at home. My wife won't eat burgers without Sagrera Farms ground beef now. It's what we do at the Palmer House, and you can make that happen for you at your house if you call Sean. 225 is the area code right here just outside of Baton Rouge. 719-1723. That's 719-1723. Get half a cow. It's a game changer. It's Sagrera Farms. They bring you our Thursday shows each and every week. All right, David Hale from ESPN put together a piece on NCAA football ranking all 138 quarterback situations entering the season. And I was curious where Sam Leavitt would be on that list. And you start in Tier 1A, the top, and it's 4 guys. It's Arch Manning at Texas, Trinidad Chambliss at Ole Miss, C.J. Carr at Notre Dame, and Darian Mensah, who is now at Miami. Of course, he was at Duke last year. That's the top of the list. And then you got Tier 1B that's got Julian Sayin in it. And then you get to Tier 2. And that's where you find Dante Moore and Dylan Raiola at Oregon, both of them in one room. Jaden Mayava at USC, and Sam Leavitt. So he's got him in Tier 2 as a top 10 quarterback in the country. I just want to talk about Leavitt, not the rest of the guys, because I think there's an interesting stat that he sprinkles in here. He says Leavitt versus Big 12 competition the last 2 years is 11-2. That's obviously very good. Has an 80.1 total QBR. That's out of 100. 80th, pretty good. 26 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. That's great. Great ratio. 26 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Completion rate at 63.4%, which is fine. It's not great. It's not bad. 63% is good. Against everybody else, he's 5-2, not as good. 61.5 total QBR. That's 20 points lower in QBR. 8 touchdowns, 5 picks, and the completion percentage drops from 63% to 57%. So I went and looked. I was like, well, who is that against? And the non-Big 12 games are against, in 2024, so 2 years ago, Mississippi State, Texas State, and Texas. That was the playoff game against Texas. And then Northern Arizona, Mississippi State, and Texas State this year. So I don't really care what he did against Northern Arizona, Wyoming, Texas State. That's not interesting. What did he do against the SEC teams? Because that's what the implication here is when you chart that drop-off. It's playing Houston, Texas Tech, Kansas State, TCU, Oklahoma State, and then your stats drop off significantly when you play those other teams. Against Mississippi State in 2024, which was a game out in Tempe, he was 10 of 20 for 69 yards. 10 of 20 for 69 yards is not very good. Now, Arizona State won the game, but that's not a great resume. This past year in Starkville, they lost the game. In Mississippi State, he was 10 for 22 for 82 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. So, not good. The other SEC opponent that he faced was Texas in the playoff over in Atlanta. And in that game, he was 24 out of 46. That's a low completion percentage, just over 50%. But 24 for 46, 222 yards, no touchdowns. He did throw an interception. So against 3 SEC opponents, 2 Mississippi States, who are the worst team in the league, and Texas, 44 out of 88, which is exactly 50%, 124 yards per game, 1 touchdown, 3 picks. Not good. And I think that's important to bring up. And it's difficult to suggest he had no supporting cast because he had Cam Scatterbo 2 years ago and he had Jordan Tyson both years. And so should that be concerning to LSU fans? And I would suggest not concerning. I would suggest interesting. I would suggest that it's worth noting. But the piece to the equation that this does not include, the game against Mississippi State, the other game against Mississippi State, the game against Texas, what's not included in that is Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss. And I think when you talk about Sam Leavitt, you can talk about 3 things. You can talk about his performance at Arizona State, and I'm not disparaging Kenny Dillingham. I just told you Jordan Tyson and Cam Scatterbo were good. But you got to take into account his stats at Arizona State. You got to take into account his new coaching staff at LSU, which found its last Heisman-esque quarterback in God knows where, Ferris State. They also did a pretty good job with Jackson Dart and Matt Corral, and a pretty good job with whoever was playing quarterback at FAU, who I won't even look up because I don't care, and Blake Sims and what, like, he's been a great quarterback, play caller, and offense designer. And he's found quarterbacks, sometimes 4-star recruits, sometimes at Ferris State. But you got to take that into account, and you got to take into account the injury. So it's what he did at Arizona State, which was really good in the Big 12, not as good when he stepped out of the Big 12. You got to take into account the new coaching staff and the injury. I think all of that boils into what Sam Leavitt will be for this team. And until today, I felt like the injury was still a pretty significant question mark. Because the last time we saw Sam Leavitt, he was not participating. He was out there in a helmet, and he made a couple throws, and he didn't do a whole heck of a lot in spring football, which we knew was coming. Now, we saw him out there right at the beginning of spring football, and we're like, oh, he's like throwing slant routes, and he's out there doing handoffs, and like he's going to be okay. And then 4 days later, he had the pins taken out of his foot, and he wasn't even there, and he's wearing tennis shoes, and he's not practicing, not doing anything. It's like, oh, okay. So they really did know. But in the last 2 days, we've gotten 2 nuggets on Sam Leavitt. One of them is Lane Kiffin at spring meeting saying, yeah, he ran 21 miles an hour yesterday. That's pretty good. I didn't see it. I have no way to document it. Seems like 21 miles an hour is pretty good, fairly healthy. And the second piece of evidence came today when on Instagram, Sam Leavitt posted a video of him taking a running start just outside the goal line, running up, going football between the legs, windmill dunk through the goalposts. It's May 28th. Like, I just don't have a lot of concerns about Sam Leavitt's foot against Clemson. I'm not a doctor. I'm not an orthopedist. I'm none of those things. But Brandon Taylor told us on this show in January that he hurt his foot, same Liz Frank deal, in November. He was running full speed in April. Now, Matt Mock said, I didn't feel the same. Matt Mock injured his 24 years ago. I think medicine's probably improved a little bit. Now, BT's was 15 years ago. But it feels like, based on Kiffin saying he's running 21 miles an hour, and the video of him doing the windmill dunk through the goalpost, he's probably feeling pretty good. So I feel good about the injury part of it. I feel good about LSU's coaches. And I feel good about the way Sam Leavitt performed in the Big 12. The question is, does it translate to the SEC better than 50% completion, 124 yards per game, an average in those 3 games, 1 touchdown, 3 picks? And I tell you, in conclusion, my sincere thought on this is he's going to be pretty good. And that's not just the LSU grad who works for the LSU Sports Radio Network and pulls for the LSU team telling you I think he's going to be pretty good. That's the article that ESPN published today from David Hale that ranks him in the top 10 quarterbacks in the country. It's on 3, putting him as the number 1 transfer portal quarterback in the country. I feel good about it. The stats are interesting, something you need to consider. I don't think they're disqualifying. I think he's going to play pretty well this year. I think he's going to be pretty healthy. I'm excited about it. Let's close the show next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com. HighlandIG.com is that website. Look, benefits are tough right now, and they know that at the Highland Insurance Group. If your healthcare renewal last year or the one that's upcoming is just really tough to swallow financially, talk to the Highland Insurance Group. Because they know your pain, they know which carriers are driving rates up, and they're happy to help. There's no guarantee, there's no silver bullet that they're going to knock 20% off your health care. In fact, they're probably not going to do that much. But they may be able to stabilize things. And they'll certainly give it a look. They know that keeping employees and recruiting employees sometimes comes down to the benefits you're able to offer. Health care, vision, dental, all that. And they're happy to help as an independent broker with access to multiple carriers. So if you're a business owner, or you're an HR, or you're a CFO, and you're in charge of the benefits with your company, and a renewal is coming up, or the one that you just went through was just uncomfortable in terms of the pricing, contact the Highland Insurance Group right here in Baton Rouge. They're online at HighlandIG.com, HighlandIG.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient, and you will have your pool in no time.
I'm Gabrielle McLeod on behalf of the Louisiana Propane Dealers. I have spent hundreds of hours preparing for scholarship competitions. That preparation paid off when I won the Fitness and Talent Awards along with the title of Miss Louisiana. The Louisiana Propane Dealers are also pretty talented and want you to be prepared for when the power goes out. Visit LouisianaPropane.com to find out about propane generators and other safety tips. Louisiana Propane, it truly is the fuel for our future.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Shout out to Sagrera Farms, bringing you our Thursday shows each and every week. We'll have a busy show tomorrow. Preston Guy will come on, talk some Tiger football. Big recruiting weekend for LSU football. I would imagine there are going to be some rumblings from LSU baseball over the course of the next week. That may start tomorrow. It may not. But they're going to get their ducks in a row because the portal opens on June the 1st. And so if there are some players from LSU, like Maverick Rizzi, who decide they're going to go in, you may see some announcements on that front. And I think you're going to start seeing some guys, especially as the regionals close up on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Then the portal opens up, and then it's just a free-for-all. But LSU's just sitting there with a big, wide net saying, hey, anybody want to show up? They should be in good position. So we'll talk a little bit about that on tomorrow's show as well. Saints OTAs are rocking and rolling. If you want some Saint coverage, Ross Jackson just texted our group. He's about to work on some observations from Saints' first open OTAs practice today, and he'll have that up at LouisianaSports.net in pretty short order. It'll be for free right there on the homepage, so I hope y'all will check that out. Also of note, the MLB just put forth a formal proposal for the upcoming collective bargaining agreements, and they have asked for a full salary cap and floor. So we're not playing baseball next year is basically what that means. So my take, I may talk about that a little bit on tomorrow's show as well. Let's play some Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, so the New York Knicks announced today that they're donating hundreds of tickets to underprivileged children for the NBA Finals. The tickets will be donated to the Garden of Dreams Youth Foundation, which will receive 200 tickets per home game, totaling 500 tickets between games 3 and 4, and it'll be 750 tickets in total if there is a game 6. So classy move by the Knicks. Take it or leave it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Find some kids, get them a jersey, maybe get them a hot dog and a Coke, something to hang out. That's going to be as good an environment as the NBA can provide for the finals. Knicks hadn't been in the finals in a minute. I was in middle school, so we'll see how that goes.
I'm scared about that. Like, if they win, let's just say they win, New York actually might explode. Like, I'm scared to see that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a minute. The last
73.
For the Knicks, yeah, 73. I'm thinking about New York teams that have won it. Obviously, the Giants have those two. The Yankees won one. Certainly not the Jets. I don't know. Lord. I can't help you with the Rangers. But yeah, it's been a minute.
All right, so a struggling Paul Skeens is taking a mound today versus the Cubs, who just snapped their 10-game losing streak. So are the Cubs going to knock Skeens around the park today? Take it or leave it?
I'll leave that. The Cubs, we did score 10 last night. Yeah. That'll work. Marsman watched the game with me. He woke up this morning, came out to the couch, said, did the Cubs or Pirates win? I was like, the Cubs won, bud. They were winning 10-4 when you went to bed in the 8th. We held that one on, but they're not going to beat Skeens today. They're playing terrible.
He's struggling though. He's on the 2 games.
He's given up 5 runs in 2 starts. That's the standard.
For him, yes,
his ERA is still 3.
Well, I said for Paul Skeens, that's a little, Yeah. So UCLA quarterback Carson Gordon has entered the transfer portal. As you know, the transfer portal is closed. So what is going on? So he will enter as a track athlete, but will play football. So is this the new loophole that will be exploited? Take it or leave it.
Won't last long. It's the Bear Bryant deal. Bear Bryant used to use all the school's track scholarships so he could keep all the good players away from other teams. Yeah, that ain't going to fly. It's like you have to use the scholarship for football if you're going to play football. That's how they got it to the Bear Bryant rule. They'll nip this one in the bud.
So we're going.
Good idea, though, Carson Gordon. But it's not going to – it may work for him. Not going to work moving forward.
Yeah, and I just cannot believe that – I don't know. I can't say I can't believe anything with college football at this point. Everything is believable. Yeah. So, tracking down the mailman in the neighborhood for a package, take it or leave it.
I mean, I guess I'll take it, but I just got words. My wife, she got home. She's got a package coming. She's very excited about it. Okay. She needed a signature. She got to the house that had already come. So she tracked it and found out they were closed, so they came recently. She drove through our entire neighborhood twice until she found the mailman and got the package. She's very excited. I thought that was crazy behavior, but she did.
What? You know what? I can't say nothing because I'd be so excited. Depends on what's coming in the mail. So
she was very excited about this.
Oh yeah, no. If I got to go hawk it down, this is something extremely important. So no, I can't. Beggars cannot be choosers. So
she found the mailman, got it taken care of. I was like, let's just set my butt on the couch and said it'll come tomorrow. That's where I would have been on that.
Depends on how long I've been waiting. The wait is the point.
2 weeks.
Ooh, yeah, I need that. I need that.
All right.
So that's it for Take It or Leave It.
That's it for Take It or Leave It. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef on this Thursday. If you missed any of the show, I'll recap what we did. Talked about LSU's injury situation in the baseball field. We found out a lot about yesterday on After Further Review and just how tough this season was for that team. Best and worst of the Saints offseason, according to ESPN.com. I actually did not agree with the worst. You can find that at Hunt on Saints. Joe Healy with us breaking down SEC baseball regionals and Keith Law's new updated top 50 prospect list in Major League Baseball. Kate Anderson, number 4. Anthony Ianson, number 21. Pretty special 1-2 punch LSU had last year. Saints OTA report at 2 o'clock. That'll again be up at Hunt on Saints. Chris Blair wrapping up his season-long visits with us on Thursdays. Appreciate him. And talked a little Sam Levitt there at 2:30. You can find that at Hunt on LSU. You can find our whole shows in their entirety wherever you find your podcast, Hunt Palmer Show, and also on YouTube as well. As I mentioned on tomorrow's show, we'll get into some LSU football recruiting. They got Easton Royal coming on campus, plus I think the number 1 player in the nation's coming. So we'll talk about some of that. 5 stars aplenty on LSU's campus, which is one of the reasons that Lane Kiffin took this job. So it is Regional Friday. No game for us to cover, but we'll find some other things to talk about and appreciate y'all for hanging out with us. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. Stay tuned for all of that from 3 to 6. We'll be with you tomorrow, same time, same place. It'll be a Friday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, online at FabryChevrolet.com. That is FabryChevrolet.com. Every car that is on the lot is online at FabryChevrolet.com. And inviting you, as you're well aware, that calendar is getting short in May. And they got great offers. A 2026 Chevy Silverado at 0% APR financing for 36 months, but you got to go before the end of the month. Also, 2026 GMC Sierra 1500s, 2.9 financing for 72 months now until the end of the month. So you got to get in. Of course, if you're looking for something else, maybe a Chevy Trailblazer, Chevy Trax. Those can be as low as $30,000. Great deals, great people, new location, Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Make that short drive from Baton Rouge. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump. Get great people and a great deal at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. The entire inventory, all of it, is online at FabryChevrolet.com.
Transform your living space with Lacoste.